Thank you for joining us for our midday devotional. I'm Dr. Bruce McClure, the local minister at the Prince George's Church of Christ, and we're located at 7800 Central Avenue in Landover, Maryland. Throughout the week, we have focused on the topic serving the Lord and what that requires. Today, we will focus on serving the Lord requires willingness. And as we develop this lesson, I hope, I trust, and I pray that you'll be encouraged to be more focused on being willing to serve the Lord. Now, the first question that we must raise is, how do you define willingness? In Second Corinthians chapter 9, a very good text, verse number 2, Paul writes, "For I know your willingness about what I boast of you to the Macedonians, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal has stirred up the majority." So I want you to focus on the word willingness and the word zeal, because willingness actually means a zeal, an eagerness, a readiness of mind. Uh, the Cambridge Dictionary defines willingness as the quality, and I want to really stress this, the quality of being happy to do something whenever it is needed. That really brings home the definition of willingness. Uh, Not grudgingly, not out of necessity, but when a person is doing a thing with a willful spirit, there should be a degree of joy involved. The Oxford English Dictionary defines willingness as the state of being prepared to do something. So there's a quality of being happy to do it, a readiness to do it, and a preparation to do it. And those are the basic definitions that will help us understand what it means to be willing to serve the Lord. Uh, Also, let's look at what willingness requires in terms of mental preparation. In the book of Acts, chapter 17, and verse number 11, these were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. Again, you see this word with all willingness or readiness. According to a Galatian proverb, kind of interesting, nothing is easy for the unwilling. Uh, it could be crossing the street, and a person who's unwilling to do it will find 1,000 reasons not to. Another thing about uh, the ease or the complexity, people who even approach complex matters with a willing spirit typically will say, well, we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. But you can almost spot an individual who is not willing because, according to the proverb, nothing is easy. Nothing is easy for a person who does not have a willing spirit. Back in 2012, in the January 9th publication of Psychology Today, uh, the article said that willingness is a stance that a person can take when facing a challenging emotion. Remember when Joshua sent the spies out to spy out the promised land? He sends 12 out. 10 come back with unfavorable reports, all types of reasons why it could not be done. But Joshua and Caleb comes back and say, wow, we can get this done. You know why they're able to say that? Yeah, they understand God's with them, but they also had a willingness. They were willing to go. They were willing to expend the energy. They were willing to do what they could do. And it's amazing in that January 9, 2012 issue of Psychology Today, uh, it also said that willingness is a stance that a person can take when facing a challenging emotion. The question becomes, will the individual take that stance? There's one more slide I'd like to share with you in today's devotional regarding willingness. Actions required to accomplish what is willed in the mind, it's not just going to happen by osmosis. Uh, there's an actionable process that will make that transaction come to pass. In the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 8, 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 11 and 12, Paul writes, now therefore perform the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to will, so there may be a performance also out of that which you have. For if there be first a willing mind, it is accepted according to that which a man hath, and not according to that he has not. So willingness is really a twofold procedure. If success is the goal, according to Jennifer Patterson, Dr. Patterson makes this known in a January 9th, 2012 Psychology Today article. There must be a willingness to commit to the new action. That sounds like the 2 Corinthians 8 text. Nothing indicates in the Psychology Today article that Dr. Patterson is quoting from 2 Corinthians chapter 8. But she basically says what Paul said. There must be a willingness to commit to the action. Secondly, there must be a willingness to simply notice one's fears without working to get rid of them. It goes like this. Let me first work through this. Let me first overcome this. I've got this weakness. I've got this anxiety. I've got to be absolutely, you don't have to be absolutely anything, because in this life, because of sin, you'll never be absolute. I'll never be absolute. So Dr. Patterson is saying there must be a willingness. We must be willing to say, yeah, I know these fears and I know these apprehensions are here, but I'm going to get through them. They can follow me all the way through the process, but it will not alter my mind. I'm going to do it anyhow. That sounds like Paul to the church at Philippi. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. That goes back to what the two spies said. Yeah, there are giants in the land, but God's going to get us through it. It goes back to what David said about Goliath. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? David understood, I know who I am, but I'm not going to let any fear about who he is stop me, because God's on my side. So when we talk about action required to accomplish what is willed in the mind, Paul says, now therefore perform the doing of it. If you've willed it, and if it's God's will, then God will give us all of the resources necessary to accomplish what we have resolved to do, so that there may be the performance also out of that which we have. For if there first be a willing mind, it is accepted, and not according to that which he has. Remember when God calls Moses at the burning bush to go back into Egypt? Moses talked about his speech impediment. Moses talked about Pharaoh won't believe him. And you know, God looked at Moses and said, "Hey, Moses, what do you have in your hand?" He had a staff. He says, "Well, take the staff and let me show you the power that's in what you already have." You've got a brother named Aaron. Take your brother with you, and I'm going to show you how much you can accomplish with what you already have. See, the willing mind is the battle. But when the mind is not willing, oh my goodness, we can find 1,001 reasons why the task cannot be accomplished. Uh, on tomorrow, let me invite you to join me again, because we will discuss serving the Lord requires reverence. We must have a deep respect for the God we serve in order for us to serve him in a respectable, high manner. Let's close with a prayer. And I just want to encourage you, because tonight is Wednesday, to join us at 7:30 for our midweek class as well. Father, it's only through your grace and it's only through your mercy that we're able to make it day by day. And I pray that we will always have a willing spirit, a willing desire, a burning inside to do those things that others may consider impossible, because we do believe that through you we can accomplish great things. Through Jesus, I pray. Amen. Okay. I look forward to seeing you, as I mentioned earlier, in tonight's Bible study. Sister Pam, again, it's you and me here. Uh, and that lets me know the weather is getting better and people are more mobile now. And I'm encouraged by that. I'm glad people are out doing other things. Uh, but we'll be back here tonight at 7:30.
Okay. See you then.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too.